Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of the Choice City Cucina. I am Michael Coleman, your host, and I would like to welcome, all the way from St. Louis, brand new to Fort Collins.
Absolutely.
My mom. So welcome, Mom.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's so good to be here. Thank you for asking me to join in this really fun thing.
Absolutely. Well, and it stopped raining and it's not freezing outside, so it officially feels like May. So we're going to make something that hopefully is sort of springy, kind of brunchy. I wanted to sort of do this episode before Mother's Day because it would have made a great Mother's Day dinner. Matter of fact, we had it for Mother's Day dinner.
We did.
Trial running this recipe for everybody, but we didn't get it in time for Mother's Day. So you're getting it after Mother's Day. You can make it next Mother's Day.
That's right.
And it's actually a combination of two of our favorite recipes. One of them is one of my mom's favorites.
Yes, which is salmon with a lemon aioli.
It is absolutely fantastic. And mine is a creamy polenta with garlicky greens, where you save the we're going to use chard today. We're actually going to use chard and spinach, but we save the chard stems to give it kind of a crunchy little bite. So it's a great recipe. It's kind of luxurious. It's got creamy polenta, it's got the butter fat, or we're using vegan butter. It's got the greens, which are healthy for you. It's got some salmon, it's protein, some citrus. It's really great. It's great for any occasion. So without further ado, I think we're going to sort of get into making this, aren't we?
We are. Let's get going.
Cool. So let's do a quick rundown of what we've done before we get started here. So we've taken the salmon out of our little frozen packets. We got this salmon that's sort of pole caught, it's wild. So we took it out of its little frozen packets. We dried it a little bit. We're going to do an extra step to it that we're going to show you later, but it is dried off. We're also going to do a tofu with this that you can use as a salmon substitute for the vegans cooking at home. You can have a tofu option with this because we are using the vegan butter with the polenta, so it would fit with that diet. And what else did we do? We washed the greens.
We did wash the greens, and
we've gotten the stock boiling on the stove.
Yes.
And we said wash the greens, right?
You washed the greens? Yes.
We did that.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see here. So what is the first thing that we are going to do? Well, actually, you had a little story you wanted to talk about.
I did.
Why this recipe speaks to you. So
right.
Why is that?
Well, there are so many people, and, I was probably one of them long ago, that were afraid of large, leafy green vegetables. For whatever reason, because they're, never grew up with them. I mean, Grandma made salads with iceberg lettuce. I didn't have access to these leafy greens, and they're just wonderful. And I don't want anybody to be afraid of a stem that's this big, just because it's bigger than, baby spinach that you get in a bag.
And it cooks down to that.
And it does. It does. It cooks down the same way. And so that was important, but also fish, because fish preparation scares a lot of people. And it shouldn't, but it does. But this recipe is really foolproof, really easy. And so we wanted to present something that is very tasty, but uses ingredients that maybe some people might feel uncomfortable with. And so this is a fun thing.
And salmon's an easy fish to cook. I mean, it tastes good even if you sort of overcook it. We're going to use a super secret, incredibly lazy cooking technique in order to bring this to you tonight.
That's right.
So I think without further ado, I had a catchy line I was going to say about the greens and the fish.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got to take the scary out and put the tasty in.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. Didn't quite work. We missed the moment.
No, excellent.
So let's get started. So like we said, we've got some vegetable stock boiling on the stove. So we're actually going to turn this up to a nice rolling boil.
And we did this in advance because it takes about 25 minutes for this polenta to cook. So, okay.
So there you go. So this is really a two-person job, or at least we're going to make it a two-person job here. So let's get a close-up here on the stove. Now the thing with polenta. Yeah. Well, no, you're on the wrong one. Okay. I was in your kitchen. You don't know.
That's right. This is not my
okay.
kitchen.
So we're
exactly right.
so the polenta is so the stock is on a rolling boil. We forgot to season. Remember this?
We did this last time.
We did this last time. And the damn polenta tasted like nothing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna season this time.
What? Not too much.
It's fine.
Oh.
Now, the first time we did this, I was so cocky and doing this. I said, "Oh, you got to salt the water. You got to salt the water." Well, polenta, unlike pasta, absorbs every last bit of salt that you put into it. You don't discard anything. So don't over salt your water when making polenta. And
all of this liquid will no longer be as soon as this polenta is cooked. It will all be just a wonderful creamy polenta.
So for those of you who don't know what polenta is, it is basically grits that is more finely ground. So you sort of get a more creamy texture.
Well, let's talk about how long you're stirring this for.
Oh, right. So what we're going to do, so you have to stir constantly with this. Your arms have to be in shape. Your shoulders have to be in shape because you are going to stir constantly. And once it is all in there, you're going to continue to stir for another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In total, we're going to be cooking this for 30 minutes, including the 5 minutes we're going to stir after it's all in there, stirring every 5 minutes. So we're going to be setting a timer throughout the show to sort of guide us from step to step to make sure that we're stirring this polenta all the time.
And since the last time we made this, I could not remember how many times we had set the timer. I decided to give myself a little cheat sheet that Jamie's going to show you. I made little strips, and every time, so we're going to do this for 5 times, and every time the 5 minutes goes off, I'm going to rip one of those up so that I will know that how many times we have left here to do this. So
any helpful hint that will get you to delicious food, you take advantage of it in your kitchen. So we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and
we're going to
thank God today wasn't an arms day.
So polenta. I mean, who would think that you could take this hard grain? And someone said, you know what? I think I'm going to add some liquid to it and stir the heck out of it, and it's going to end up being delicious. But I must tell you that my first introduction to polenta was not a good one. Now, both sets of my grandparents were born in and around Palermo. So I am Foursquare Italian. But only my grandma Vita Scalizzi, who was my mom's mom, not Italian at all, was alive by the time I was born. So grandma did not speak English, but I think she understood it. She had 7 children. I know they spoke Italian in the home, but they also spoke English. So I know she understood English, but she didn't speak it or chose not to. So if you wanted to learn anything from grandma cooking, you had to do it just by observing what she was doing. So grandma made many wonderful things, but I did not like the polenta. She made it almost like in a pan that would, the best description I can have is it was like cornbread. Except it was very dense and it was oily. And whenever it was offered, I turned my nose up at it. I tasted it once and said, nope, not interested, turned my nose up at it. And that was the end of it for me for polenta. Fast forward many decades, and my sister, my middle sister, told me that she made this great dish of polenta and short ribs. And I thought to myself, why would you do that? But it was because it was this type of polenta. It wasn't the polenta that grandma made when I was a kid. So I said, that's very nice. And then my nieces started making polenta. Our daughter makes polenta. Michael makes polenta. Still, never made polenta. So I said, I guess we were out to dinner once, and I said, there's this wonderful shrimp recipe and it was on a bed of polenta and I said, let's go, let's have it. Everyone's making it, I'm gonna try it. So I came late to the game of liking polenta, but still I had never made it until 3
days ago.
3 weeks ago. I guess when we tried this out, I said, oh my gosh, this is so easy. So now it will be in my repertoire. So long story short, it is never too late. Number one, to change your mind about food. And number two, to actually make it. So don't be afraid of failing at something that you've never done.
Just keep stirring.
Just keep stirring. Yeah, so whatever you're doing, just keep
phoning a friend stuff. We still have 2 minutes to go. It's outrageous.
He's just
outrageous.
And it's already thickening up a little bit, which is wonderful. You can, I don't know if you can get a shot of it, but it's already thickening up. And it's going to be, it's all of that. By the time the fifth one comes around, it'll be much harder to do this whisking.
Indeed.
But it is very good stuff. But
we also want to say you can make polenta with chicken stock, you can make it with vegetable stock, you can make it with water. It sort of just depends on what kind of flavor you're going for. You can make it even with shrimp stock. If you're doing like a New Orleans style shrimp and grits, you probably want to make it with like a shellfish stock.
Yeah.
So it's a recipe that takes very, very well to seasoning it with whatever it is that you want to season with, because it doesn't inherently have a whole bunch of flavor on its own. So
and
it's
like,
really good.
in the same vein, that's a lot with tofu. It doesn't have taste on its own, but whatever you put it with, it absorbs that taste. And polenta, yeah, on its own is not going to be that good, as my childhood memories took me. So I get it. But
45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Keep talking.
Can he do it, folks? Can he keep going with this?
Woo! Boy, this is really something. Here, make yourself.
Okay.
Try this.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
All right.
There you go. All right.
So we're almost finished. We're almost finished with the first round of polenta. So it's been 5 minutes. We are going to turn this down. I've already turned it down to simmer. We're going to turn it down to medium low to low, or solidly just in the low category on your stove, whatever that may be. And we're going to cover it with a lid. And every 5 minutes, we're going to come back to it and just give it a good stir. Now, because this is a kind of like a pasta dish, it will tend to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pan. So
that's
you really just want to
get.
get.
Is a good thing.
That's why we're actually using a wire whisk. I've got a plastic whisk that I use for sort of different sort of pot, but for this one, you want the wire whisk. So we're going to put the lid back on.
So we're turning it down, putting the lid on, setting the timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, which we did not do. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to meet you back up front, and we're going to talk about greens. Now this is
greens. Don't be afraid of your greens. Your mother would told you when you were little to eat your greens, and maybe some of you do and some of you don't, but they're very good things to eat.
Here they are.
And
look at these things.
This is one of my
there
favorite.
You go.
Rainbow chard. I mean, look at these stems. How beautiful has nature presented us with these beautiful stems and this lovely chard. So don't be afraid of this. I mean, you could almost wear it like a hat. It's very large, but don't be afraid of it.
Indeed. So there's 2 ways to strip chard. You can do it my mother's way, which is quicker and efficient and not at all pretty. Or you can do it with a knife and run it alongside. So Mom, why don't you try your brutal way?
The brutal way. This is probably a little.
There you go.
This
Pick your
poison.
poison.
Okay.
There you go.
So you just kind of go like this and strip it down, and there you go.
You can do that.
And here you're left with this beautiful ribbon and this. And this is the important part, because a lot of nutrients are in this. And this is going to give us texture for an otherwise really soft dish.
Indeed.
So we want to have
it's going to be great crunch. So make sure that you save that. The other way to do this is just to take your knife for those bougie amongst us, bougie cooks. Is just to run your knife along the side, and you sort of get the same thing. And you also just come up with these great little.
And I'm going to stack these, kind of like little pieces of paper.
We are going to stack them. We're going to roll them up later. We are in Colorado.
Yeah. So when you
roll up them leafy greens, Ma.
When you also have this wonderful, colorful, these stems, because we've got like a kind of a peach one and red and yellow. when these are in your dish, they also make it's very pretty because it's very colorful as well. So rainbow chard, but you can use any kind of chard.
Color, taste, texture. So you need that in every dish. So now that you've got all this great chard, you just sort of roll it up like a big rice wrap that you would get like at a, like some Asian restaurant or something. And you just run your knife through it, and it's basically just like charred sushi, so to speak. And it gives you these great little long ribbons of chard that are basically going to cook down to almost absolutely nothing. So we're just going to put this in a bowl. So wait just a minute for us.
Yeah, this is, Michael he likes the ribbons. You can cut these. If you don't like ribbons, you can cut these. When you are cooking, you can do, my rule is cook's rule. So whatever you decide to do, that's the rule of the day.
That is the rule of the day. Do not cross the cook. So now with the stems, super easy. Just run your knife right through them. Cut them into sort of like if you were slicing celery. It's about the size piece that you want, something like that. Yeah. Not too big, not something that's going to be so small and so thin that it's also going to just sort of get soft too quickly. Because this is going to be in the pan for 5, 6, 7 minutes by the time it's all said and done, and you still want it to have some crunch by the end of it. You sort of want to cook out the rawness of it, soften it a bit, but other than that, basically just
you want that crunch. You need that crunch.
And its color too, because as it cooks, it will lose its color. So we're gonna get a smaller plate, and we're gonna grab our little. These things are great too, particularly if you're cutting up, mincing a bunch of stuff, chopping a bunch of stuff on your cutting board. Really just sort of puts it away all really nicely. And now normally I would use 2 bunches of chard for this dish, but tonight I had this. I planted spinach last fall, thinking, maybe I'll get some spinach before it gets cold. And it was a long winter, wasn't it? And this poor spinach was exposed. It was out absolutely in the elements. I said, there's no way this stuff is going to grow. And this spring, I'll be damned if it didn't just start growing up. And this stuff is beyond beautiful.
I mean, it's very curly. It's very dense. It's quite textured.
Huge and leafy and crinkly and just absolutely gorgeous. It's a mess right now.
This is not your baby spinach that you get in the bags.
No, it is not. It is not.
From the grocery bags.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Chop it.
And we're just gonna pull and do whatever, and we're gonna stick it on here. The stuff that we can't fit in here, we'll put back in the bag. And remember that spinach actually will cook down more than chard will, although spinach that is this big and this robust,
this is hardy spinach,
will take a bit longer to cook down than sort of the baby spinach that you get like in the bags and stuff like that.
But I'll tell you, any spinach that's willing to come up under 22 inches of snow deserves to have its day.
The champion spinach, if I've ever heard it. So, we got to stir the chard. So
this is our chard stirring.
No.
Oh, I'm
polenta.
Polenta
stirring.
All right, so I can feel it at the bottom, kind of sticking. So I'm really kind of hugging the sides and trying to get those little bits that are on the bottom up.
That's good. Good thing we just cleaned the floor.
All right, this is a good stir here.
10-second rule on Pullman households.
That's right. Okay, now we're back to. Now we're back to another 5 minutes, and one of these goes away.
All right.
So timer, 5 minutes. All right.
So there we go.
Here we go.
So chard's done. Polenta is going. It is now time to, we were going to drain the tofu, but we actually already know it's not time for tofu. It's time for garlic.
Time for the garlic. This is a good garlic lesson he's going to teach you, because garlic is another thing that kind of freaks people out because it's a very sticky thing. Garlic. It's very sticky.
It is very sticky.
Yeah.
And it's covered with the skin that that sticks to the oils that are in garlic. So garlic's a really great thing because the oils that are in it But if you don't treat it right sort of at the outset, the oils will stick to the skin, and then you'll just have sort of a nightmare in the kitchen. So I've got 4 cloves of garlic here. I might go for a 5th. I don't know, but we'll see. So
again,
who doesn't like
garlicky greens?
Garlicky greens for a reason. So you want enough garlic to go with your greens. So in order to get the skin off, it's really just super simple. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can really just twist the clove like this. And twisting the clove a lot of times will be enough to sort of remove the skin from it. But if you don't feel like sort of, gnashing on your hands and stuff, you just sort of pop it, not smash it, just pop it. And the skin will come off, the clove will stay intact. Maybe it'll get a little bit busted, but for the most part, it won't be like absolutely smashing it. And please go for local and organic garlic. There's so much garlic out there that gets just blasted with chemicals and treated with chemicals. Anything that's a root plant like this that gets hit with tons of chemicals, just awful for you.
This is very thin skin, so
very thin skin.
There's nothing really to protect the meat from that garlic.
So if you're making an enormous batch of chili for a bunch of people, go ahead and throw the garlic in with these little bitty nubs right here. Since we're just making a little dish, cut off the nubs. Nobody wants the nubs.
No one wants nubs.
If you tuned in for the first episode, you know that I don't like the nubs. So we're just gonna put those away.
And you might find like there was one of these pieces, there was a little spot. You may have gotten it in the nub.
I might have. So, might have been the nub.
Yeah, may have been it.
So what we're gonna do now, you can go ahead and smash it. So like I said, garlic is one of these things where the essence lies within, right? All the good health benefits of garlic are from the oils in the garlic. And in order to release those oils, you gotta bust it up. So that's what we're gonna do now. Now we're gonna go in. This is what
smells good too, because now you can really smell the true garlic smell, and it's just
so we're just gonna run through
garlic is.
With proper chopping technique here, which I never actually learned, and I have almost sliced my fingers off.
Put your things like your fingers like this. Your knife can't.
What is it? 1 in front, 2 in back.
No, I always put the whole thing so that your knife is running alongside of it instead of making it. But you're never going to see a chef do that. When they're chopping these things like a million miles a minute, they're just. Well, they're professionals.
They are pros.
We're not.
We certainly are not here.
No, we're in
a tiny kitchen in Old Town. We're not anything like that.
We're in the Choice City Cucina.
So that's what we're calling it. Home's cook.
That's right.
Home cook. So that's where we are. So that looks like a good amount of garlic. It doesn't look like a ton, but once everything cooks down to nothing, this is going to be more than enough. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside.
Okay. Oh, the stuff smells good though.
It does, doesn't it? Sort of that lingering smell of garlic. Sweet smell of success. So we've got about another minute and a half until we stir our polenta.
Yes, it's just kind of cooking away. It's a nice thing that other than the first, it doesn't require attention because you have to go back every 5 minutes. But other than the first 5 minutes when you're constantly stirring, it's just every 5 minutes you give it a whirl.
Leave it alone, set a timer, and give it a stir.
Yeah.
So,
gotta get soft.
Indeed. So we want to talk about tofu a little bit.
We want to talk about tofu because I was asking Michael, since I am not a tofu eater myself. I mean, I've had tofu in the past, but I really didn't know the difference between a firm tofu and a silken tofu. And so Michael's going to explain it to us. So.
And I don't eat tofu all that much either, but I learned enough about it cooking for my lovely wife, who is going to a 100% plant-based diet. And what I've found about tofu, or at least what she tells me she likes about tofu, is if you're cooking tofu to act like a protein, I think you want to use firm to extra firm tofu because you can drain it out a little bit more. It's got more of a meaty texture to it. If you're making something like a sauce or something that you want to, it's like a scrambled egg or something like that, go ahead and use the silken tofu because that'll blend up a lot smoother and it won't have some of those rough textural elements to it and stuff like that.
5 minute mark.
Hold that minute.
Hold that thought.
We're stirring polenta. Back over to the stove to see what it looks like this time.
It is really, I'm not sure. It is really getting thick here.
Yeah, there you go. Do you think we need some more water?
I don't know. This was 4 cups of liquid to 1 cup of polenta.
So an entire bottle of vegetable stock or chicken stock. It's really easy to measure out. That's all you need. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 4 more things to go here.
4 more things to go.
I'm not sure.
All right.
But let's just see. Let's let it go for this round, and then if we need some more, we'll put it in.
Oh, we'll
see,
be prepared to boogie if we boogie.
Cooking is always a fun project, and you never know what you're gonna come up against. So we're gonna set this again for 5 minutes, and then we may add some more. We may add some more liquid next time. So
recipes don't always work, even ones that you've made 50 different times at home. So be prepared to adjust, be prepared to add more water, add more salt, do whatever. It doesn't matter. It just cooks the way that you want. It's all about the journey. So
but speaking
about the journey, let's go back to the journey.
Okay, I do have to tell you something though. Your father, I cook things, not by recipe, very often at all. And he always said, make it just like you made it last time.
Doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way. No, you can't, because you're not using a recipe. But I also tell my kids, if you can read, you can cook.
Indeed.
So take that to heart. So those of you who think you can't cook, if you can read, you can cook.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank
you. It's sort of like, and cooking is more like Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar, right? He picked it up, he saw it, it made sense to him. Whereas a classical pianist or something like that is a baker. It's a very different style of cooking. So one has to be absolutely precise. The other, you can just sort of be free form, make it up as you go. That's why I love cooking, because I just don't like the structural elements to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's a lesson.
No, it is a lesson. And I think that, when you taste things, and to me, when I'm putting a recipe together, I'll say, you know what, I think this will taste good in here. And it may not, I have no idea, but you can't be afraid to try, because, it's the journey.
Indeed.
And next time you won't do that, so.
Very true. So now we're going to smash some tofu to get this program going. So what we did is we drained it.
And this is the firm tofu.
This is extra firm, actually.
Extra
firm, and it's this handy stuff that comes in 2 little packets, 8 ounces each. So each of these is about a 4-ounce serving, which I think is a serving size. Yep. So for those of you calorie counters out there, as I've recently started doing, because I was eating a half jar of peanut butter a day. You just can't do that if you're approaching 40, apparently. So
you can.
You can.
You may not want to.
It's probably not a good idea. The cholesterol starts going up.
That's right.
Anyway, so we drained it, and it's been sitting on a paper towel, which will help extract some of that moisture, but it doesn't get all of it out. So tofu, I've found, just like proteins, fish, beef, turkey, whatever you want, the drier they are, the better it will sort of get a nice texture on it while you're cooking it. Sort of that sort of cooked edge that makes sort of, protein so enticing. So what we're going to do with this here cast iron pan is put it on top of this for about 5 minutes.
We're going to cover it, so we're not.
And we're going to cover it. We're not going to smash it. We're just going to cover it, and we're going to let it go for about 5 minutes. So roughly for about the time of a polenta stirring period. And then we're going to take it off. So we're just going to set it on, make sure that it is centered on there, and then you just sort of put it aside. This is what we're going to do.
So things that, foods that have a lot of liquid in them when they're cooking, it can cause them almost to steam, and that's not what you want to do. You're trying to roast something, you don't want it steaming, you want it roasting. So
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So what does this mean? I know what this means. This is going to be another creation.
So this is an important thing. So we're actually going to bake the salmon. When we bake the salmon, we're just going to season it with olive oil, salt, and pepper, sort of very simply, because we want to show you what fish looks like when it's finished. Typically, when I would make salmon, I would put a marinade over the top of it and sort of let that keep some of the moisture in. But that's a little bit more of an advanced technique. It's not advanced, but it's a little bit more of an advanced technique because you're cooking blind. You can't really see the fish. So for the purposes of this exercise, we want you to be able to see the fish when it's cooked, what it looks like when it's finished without anything on top of it. However, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the tofu with the marinade. So the tofu is going to sort of cook in a marinade. So all that moisture that we just took out of it, we want to put a little bit of it back in there when it's baking in the oven, because we don't want it to dry out too much. So
when do you think we're going to put the salmon on? Because of the time limit, and we're down to 3 of these things, and soon we're down to 2.
don't worry about that.
Okay, so he's got it. He's got the timetable.
There's Q&As in here too, and everything else like that. It's your first show. You'll get it. You'll get it.
It may be my last.
Yeah, it
I
may
need
be.
some lights.
It may be. Yeah. So what we're going to do, I use, and by the way, this is something that you can use for salad dressing. I mean, this
is a very good salad dressing.
Yeah, it is. It is
really
a very
good.
good salad
Really
dressing.
good.
So if I was making salad dressing with this, I might add something like ginger or a bit of honey or like a balsamic vinegar. But this time we're going to use very light, very fresh, very bright acids, along with some garlic, some oils, and some mustard as an emulsifier.
I love mustard as an emulsifier because it is oh my goodness.
Oh,
all right.
Back to the stove.
Taking another one. And whoops, I'm sorry, they're falling all over the place.
Oh my gosh. This is how you know this is happening in real time.
Okay, so now we're stirring. And it's really kind of coming away from the bottom of the pan. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give it a little water, and then I think we.
All right, let's give it a little water.
Because we need it to be finished, and that corn. Yeah, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be good.
And really, when you're doing this, particularly when you're working with, we were doing this, don't be afraid about messing up with. This is a stainless steel pan. Feel free to just sort of be as aggressive with it as you can. You don't want this stuff to burn on there, because it's, 1, it won't make the dish taste good. 2, it's just a nightmare to clean your pot with. But because we're covering with the lid and some of that moisture is staying in, it will stay a little bit easier. So feel free to really get in there and grind it around.
These are great to kind of get around the corner. Okay, so another 5 minutes.
Another 5 minutes. And while we're doing this 5 minutes, we're going to make this marinade. And we're going to show you how this comes together. Apologies, this is not going to come as a shock to you, given the speech that we just gave about making it up as you go. But I don't really have a recipe for this marinade here either. So we're just going to make it up as we go.
And this is the important part, because once you've done it, you can kind of follow the basic thing, because you know that the basis for this is oil. And once you get past the oil and the other elements, the garlic and the lemon, you can do whatever you want. You want to put anything in there. If you want it to be a little zesty, orange even, or he's going the garlic.
Limes work as well.
Sure, anything that you want to do, and that's the fun of it. And you're not making a ton, so if you make it and it's not very good, you don't nobody's making you do this.
Don't cry over spilled salad dressing.
That's exactly right.
I don't know who said that.
No one ever has said
Somebody should. Just making it up as we go along.
That's exactly right. And that's okay. That's okay.
Indeed.
So what do you have here? You have oil, you have
I have two kind of
vinegar.
oils. I have 2 kind of oils. I have grapeseed oil, which I particularly like when I'm doing dressings like this, because grapeseed oil gives it a neutral flavor. Where olive oil can be a really peppery flavor and can sometimes overwhelm things. So I like using predominantly grapeseed oil just because you need oil, and then a little bit of olive oil for flavor. And then I've got a white wine vinegar, which I found really sort of puffs the mixture up and actually makes it kind of thick. I do like this to be a little bit thick, because I like it when I'm baking, whether I'm doing a salmon or I'm doing the tofu, so that it stays on top instead of just rolling off the bottom.
If it's on the bottom, it cannot season the tofu nearly as efficiently as if it stays on the top.
Right. I don't want it burning into the bottom of my pan. I want it sort of cooking with the fish or the tofu in this case. So. So let's see. We're going to move it around. Yeah, roll that lemon.
I'm going to roll this lemon, and I'm rolling it just to release its juices, which is always a good thing to do, and it smells really good.
Now, I am committing a major faux pas here, and I want to cop to that. Typically, you do not ever want to work with garlic on an open grain wood cutting board like this, because those oils that are so great and smelly and all the other stuff can get into those open grains, and they just sort of never come out. And as much as I love the smell and the flavor of garlic, the essence of raw garlic on your tongue or 5 months later when you're cutting into a cantaloupe isn't the nicest thing to taste. So,
No.
so we're going to toss this away. So we've got a decent amount of garlic in there. That's really good. We're
And a
going
very
to get
soft lemon, which is good.
very soft lemon. We're going to get our mustard out. Now, you do want a fair amount of mustard because this is the emulsifier, and you're going to have a decent amount of oil.
Why don't you tell me what an emulsifier does?
It binds acid to fat. It's what makes things a whole rather than, so when you go to an Italian restaurant, you get an Italian dressing, and it looks like there are chunky parts and liquidy parts. That is what they call a broken dressing. It's not combined, it's not mixed. When you get, what am I looking for here? Like a hummus has elements of this,
Sure.
where it's just super creamy and thick. That is an emulsified sort of a blend. So that is what we're going for. That's going to prevent the oil from running off and the solids from staying on top. We want it to be a firm, cohesive sort of thing. So
and the mustard will add this thickness, which is what you need.
And some great flavor. And also this is stone ground mustard, so it'll give you a little bit of texture in there as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a little bit more. Might be overdoing it, but who knows?
It's okay. It's a good punch.
So let me show you. So typically when I do this, you're using about 1 part oil to 1 part acid. It's about a 1-to-1, and the rest of it is the sort of filler stuff. So let's go in. And when you're doing this, we're going to be using an immersion blender, which if you've never used an immersion blender before, is like the greatest, most useful thing in the world for blending soups, for making hummus, for making salad dressings. Whatever, for making any sort of a dip, it is really just the greatest thing in the world. Not that this is a dip. So that was grapeseed oil. This is your olive oil. So that looks good.
So
but the thing is that immersion blenders have little holes on the side of the thing, and you need to make sure that that those holes can get down below the top of the liquid, or nothing will blend together. I think it's gravity.
Yeah.
Something. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, we basically had none of that.
Yes, well, the vinegar is going to be a little short, so the mustard is going to have to.
Well, we do have a rice wine vinegar, and really any sort of a white vinegar will work. Typically, when I'm doing this one up, we're stirring again.
We're stirring again, and one more thing is down the tube. So.
Ooh, look at that lemon.
That is lovely.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Oh, I think that water we added was very necessary, so that was a good thing to do. All right, now getting around in the corners here, which is really good, and it's just such a beautiful color. Yeah, so we've got one more, and then we can call this polenta.
Is that it?
Well,
It's
more
about there.
stirring, and then we get to add the yummy butter.
There you go. All right, perfect.
Yeah,
Good.
don't forget to add the yummy butter.
Good that we're not there yet.
So 5 more minutes. Okay. All right, there you go. All right,
Okay.
so if you can see, we have about
So if you can
maybe
see
an
this,
inch or so.
the acids are on the bottom. That's the sort of white
You can
stuff.
see
The
the
oils
line.
are on the top.
Sure.
I might add a little bit more lemon, and then we might add.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot. We need to season this with salt and pepper.
Yeah.
That one must.
And the lemon will add that acidic punch that you didn't have the vinegar for. So
Indeed.
This is good.
Indeed.
Now let's talk about this salt. So when I first moved here, Michael was talking to me about a salt that was a salty salt, and I truly didn't know that there were different saltinesses of salt. Whatever this salt is, and I'm not sure what this is a very salty salt.
Some unrefined sea salt.
Unrefined sea salt. There you go. Now we have friends who have brought us back some salt from Cyprus, and that was really very, very good. But it was bigger chunks. This is pretty refined, but it is very salty. So.
It really does pack a punch. So, I was amazed recently when I was watching this documentary, and they said that the country of Japan, which is largely kind of a tiny island, produces 2,000 or 3,000 different kinds of salt. Just that one country. So imagine a whole universe of additional salts. There are salty salts and tasting salts and seasoning salts and all these different kinds of salt. So when you buy a salt, find one that you're comfortable using. Some of them are going to be more mild, some of them are going to have a stronger flavor. It's important, particularly with this one, that you just don't use too much of it because it can be, in fact, too much.
Right.
So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's a little thin. Little thin. So I'm going to put a little bit more mustard in. And we're going to come back over here to the stove because I've got to plug in. I'm going to trade places with her.
Yes.
So we're going to plug in this immersion blender. This is what it is. Emerald Lagasse used to call it a boat motor. You can get gigantic ones, which look like an awful lot of fun to play with. This one is just sort of small. I've had it forever. They cost about $40 and they are just super, super easy to use and really great. So lemon, garlic, mustard, salt, pepper, olive oil, grapeseed oil, and I wanted to have more white wine vinegar in there, but I didn't get it. So you don't just want to go in here and start blasting full blast. You sort of want to pulse, 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 pulse. And then when it starts to come together, then you hit it with the full blast. So you sort of move it around and move it up and down, do that thing. So let's get in here. Get in there, babe. See what you can get. And you see the holes in that thing are down below the surface, so that's good. And we're pulse, and pulse, and pulse, pulse, pulse. And now we're just going to blend. And now you can really sort of see how puffy and thick and wonderful that thing has gotten. So it's not so thick that it won't budge, but it's thick enough that it's going to stay on top of that tofu and actually end up working really well. So we're going to come back. And as soon as I get my taster up here, come on up, Ma.
Excuse me.
Tell me what you think.
Okay.
Get yourself a little finger in that. See what you think.
Hey, Michael, can I ask a question?
That's good. That's very good.
I don't apparently have any wet mustard, but I do have some mustard powder. Should I add a little? Should I stay away from that? What's your recommendation?
That is a really good question, Amber. I'm assuming that's Amber. I can't see you, but it sounds like Amber. You know, I don't know. Maybe is there a way that you could mix it with water to create mustard? Is that how you make mustard out of mustard powder? I'm not sure.
I know, right? I've never done it.
I don't think you get the emulsion. I don't think you get the thickness
you
that
might.
you're looking for.
You might.
Although
try it. Hey, you know what? Try it and see what happens. If nothing else, you'll know mustard flavor in there. You don't know if it'll work, but this is what it's all about. Next time you may come back and be like, well, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Or you might say that worked perfectly.
That was the best thing ever.
Because that powder would do a really good job of absorbing some of that oil and sort of bringing that stuff together. So you never actually know. That could work, end up working out well.
Could be beautiful.
Okay.
All right, we're down to, our polenta is finished. It's our last
Look at that. So the polenta's finished. So we're actually going to, let's see, Ma. Let's get that a taste.
Yeah,
see
we
what
need
we got
to
here.
give it a taste.
Let's see what we've got. Need some salt.
Really?
It does. Taste that. Need some salt.
Well, your garlicky greens are going to be pretty salty. So.
Well, or we could not salt it as much.
Yeah.
Just depending on. Okay, so we're going to put a little salt in there. And just for the heck of it, we're just going to do a little black pepper, season it up a little bit more.
All right. All right.
And now we are going to do what everybody's been waiting for, I'm sure, which is we are going to fold in, that's what they call it in the culinary world, they're going to fold in some butter. Now, if you'll recall, we are using vegan butter for this. So
I'm going to do this. This is about 4 tablespoons of this butter.
Indeed. So it's not a small amount of butter. But it is polenta, and this is what it's all about. This is one of the reasons this is sort of a rich dish and something that you can make that is luxurious. but there are plenty of other really healthy elements to this dish that are going to balance out the fact that you just threw about 800 calories of butter in it. So go ahead. Let's keep going and just watch this. And it gets a beautiful sheen on it.
Yeah, it is beautiful, and the butter does help it, and it gives it another layer of flavor, which is what you want.
Indeed, and really, you know, I've made polenta with cow's butter. I've made polenta with this vegan butter. You really don't lose a single thing by switching it out. Again, just because polenta, you know, particularly if it's a salted butter. Now this is a salted vegan butter, and it is just really great. So look at how creamy that is. That just looks great. Could be a little creamy. Let's give it a taste. See what you get. Wow.
I'll have that for dinner.
Okay, perfect.
That was very good. We're going to put the lid on. We're going to call it a day.
Put the lid on.
We're going to switch pans, and we are going to put.
Now hold on a second there. Before you turn that on.
Okay.
Just because we need to show you this super secret thing that we're doing with the salmon.
Super secret.
Super secret. So there's two things that we're doing that are super secret. So like we were telling you with the tofu, where you want to get as much moisture out of it as possible, we have gone ahead and patted the salmon dry. Now this is a wild caught, whole caught salmon, so it is very lean to begin with. There's not a ton of fat in there, so it's going to cook very, very quickly. So this technique that we're going to show you actually works out perfectly, and it's great if you're short on time. But there is one thing you have to remember, and that is that the great chef Thomas Keller, most celebrated American chef in history, I saw him give a demonstration on this, and it's amazing. If you want the salmon to cook perfectly, you have to get the skin off the bottom. Well, if the skin has moisture in it, it's going to turn slimy and slick, and it's not going to come off the bottom. And that's not what you want, because you don't want to be messing around with it. So how do you get the moisture off? Well, here's how you do it. Let's get in close, if we can, so we can take a look. So this looks like a dry piece of fish. However, when you scrape it down off the side of it, look at all that moisture that comes off. So we are going to just run our knife down this fillet a couple of times to get as much moisture out of this skin as humanly possible. Look at all that. So it doesn't seem like a ton, but it will affect the way that this fish skin crisps up at the bottom. There it is again. There's just a lot of moisture on there. So
you can see how much moisture is just from sitting on top of the parchment paper. There's a lot of moisture.
Absolutely. So we just want to avoid that as much as humanly possible. So we've done it to the other two. Right. Now we've done it to these. So now we're just going to season them very quickly.
This is a very easy preparation. Olive oil, salt and pepper.
The bounty of the sea. The bounty of the sea lends itself typically to very simple seasonings. Just a little salt, obviously, because it comes from salt water, so that's just sort of a natural flavor enhancer to it. Is great. And for a piece of fish like this is a Keta salmon.
And they are fillets, and they do not. I didn't feel any bones as I was kind of massaging it. You want to feel that if there are any pin bones in there, that you take those out, because those aren't pleasant to come across when you're eating. So you can do that just by kind of massaging it to begin with and feeling to see, but I didn't feel any.
On the really thick farm raised stuff where it's about that thick in the middle, you're going to have tons of bones in there. On this stuff, which comes towards the bottom end of the fillet, it looks like this is stuff towards the bottom end of these fillets. You're not going to get those bones in it. So we're pretty clear and dry here. So now here again. Okay. Oh, by the way, we forgot to take the tofu off.
That's right.
So we're gonna unsmash.
It should be nice and dry by now.
It should be.
It's been smashed.
So apologies to those of you who are vegans at home. This is our very small home kitchen here, so we're just going to be cooking this stuff together. Just to sort of show you how quickly everything can come together. So remember what I said, salmon olive oil, salt, pepper, really simply. Now, typically, if I was doing salmon, I would cover it with a marinade just like this. And you can see how thick
Yeah,
that marinade
this is what you're going for. And it'll be, I would love to know the answer to that mustard question, because the reason that it's thick is, in large part because of the emulsifying, but also because
in a minute here, Mom, when we open up to Q&As, we will turn the camera around and ask Amber that question.
Well, there you go.
So, right. Amber, we were about to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So here we go. So we just get it on all sides, nothing crazy, nothing too nuts. And here, at long last, is the super secret cooking technique. We are going to throw this fish and this tofu into a cold oven that we are going to set to 400 degrees at 15 minutes, and that is literally going to be it.
That's going to cook it all.
That's going to cook it all. Top to bottom, it's going to be absolutely perfect. The fish, you just want to cook through. The tofu, you just want to warm through. It's going to do both of those things perfectly. So here we go. We're going to go into the oven. Thank you, Ma.
And set it to 400. Now, if you do find yourself having salmon that's a little thicker, you might want to cook it a little longer. But for this, for this thickness, 15 minutes is just great.
Just perfect.
Yeah. So
we're here. We've got 15 minutes to go.
And I'm going to make.
Well, we're going to do garlicky greens, but I think now we've got a little bit of time for. We've got a little bit of time for Q&A. So I think we're going to open it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we can. I also have to make the aioli for the salmon.
Oh, yes. Why don't you go get that ready, okay. Mama? And while she's getting that ready, let me just open it up to questions. Anybody out there in Zoom land have any questions about anything? Actually, before we take questions, let's ask Amber that question. Amber, how did it work with the powdered mustard into the marinade mix?
Well, I kind of guessed, and I put in what looked like somewhere around like quarter to a half a teaspoon.
Yeah.
Blended it in with it, and it tastes good, but I would have tasted like without it. So there you go. I don't know. Maybe
you'll know next time if you want to try it. As long as it tastes good, that's really all that matters. I mean, and this is, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, proverbially in the kitchen, of course. And powdered mustard, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but I would think that if you just added water and vinegar and salt to powdered mustard, you would probably get mustard. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think that you're not far off from having made mustard right there in that marinade, almost. But anybody have any questions? Anybody out there cooking or not cooking has any questions up to this point?
So I have a question. Cooking, and when you we put the olive oil, salt, and pepper on the salmon and the tofu, you put some marinade on it as well before you put it in the oven?
No, I put the marinade on the tofu.
Okay.
What I had said earlier is that typically when I make salmon, it's not typically, sometimes when I make salmon, I will put the marinade over the top of the piece of salmon to have it cook with the fish, particularly really lean fish like this, because I think it sort of helps keep some of the moisture in. But for the purposes of this episode, I just wanted to show how 15 minutes can really cook a fish through. And so I really wanted just you all to be able to see the cooked fish with nothing on it, just to sort of see. It's, isn't an advanced technique. It's a little bit more advanced because if you do put the marinade on top of it, you are cooking a little bit blind.
Michael Patrick didn't have a question, but he said it all looks delicious.
Well, wait till you see when it's actually plated up. We'll hopefully be getting to that here in fairly short order. Anybody else out there? We apologize. We were going to sort of do a special bonus thing in this episode. We were going to make like a vegan-ase, which is something that the technique to make it is very similar to what we use to make that salad dressing. And we were going to make that because you could have put that on your fish at the end and stuff like that. But when we were trialing this recipe, we were sort of all over the place and we couldn't really get our act together. So we said, well, probably best to nix the vegan eggs. So apologies to those of you hoping that we were going to show you that. Although I do think that later on in the summer, we might do something where it's sort of like a dips and sauces episode and everything. So we might get around to sort of making vegan eggs to that. So here's my mom back with an aioli.
So I just made a very simple, this is almost like a cheater's aioli. I had lemon juice, a juice of one lemon, I think a piece that you had because I like really a lot of lemon in it. Added a little bit of water. You can add some cream because you are using mayonnaise. And then marinade, salt and pepper, and it just makes a little aioli that we're going to drip over everything at the very end.
It's absolutely to die for. It goes really perfectly with this dish because you've got the creamy polenta, the garlicky greens, and the sauce really just brightens the whole thing just right on top. So it's really, really, really a nice touch to the end.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get our Dutch oven warming for the greens. So it's going to take, Dutch ovens are, well, you could use a saute pan if you want to. We're just cooking so many greens. I figure a Dutch oven is just a good way to sort of corral them all in one place. They're going to cook down to almost nothing, like I said, but this will just sort of help keep everything in there for those first hectic few minutes where you dump a bag of greens in there about this big before it ends up cooking down to that. So it is going to take just a few minutes for that to warm up before we get going here.
Yeah, and a good reason to use this as well is when you've got oil in here and you're adding things that have water in it, it spits at you. So it's nice to have it in kind of a deeper container so that you're not, the spitting's not all over.
It'll help keep your stove a little bit cleaner as well, so that oil's just not, where you have to clean your stove every second Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So pardon us here. So we're going to clean a little bit, unless anybody has any other questions. Out there, we might just clean because it's a rule of your kitchen. I know it's a rule of my kitchen. That cooking while you clean is a very important thing to do. I can't remember the exact saying, but I think it was clean space, clear mind.
Yeah, well, I can't start cooking unless the kitchen's clean.
Right.
Because it's too distracting.
Well, it's the
cooking is very,
the zen and the art. The zen and the art of cooking. If you have a dirty kitchen, clean your kitchen, right? Respect your food. That's what this show is all about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I hope that in seeing how easy this recipe is with the fish, that if you are so inclined to want to kind of back off of it, that you don't, that you kind of take the plunge, and salmon's a good one to do it with. You can overcook salmon, that's for sure. But also on the other end, I mean, I'm a huge sushi fan, so if it's not, all the way through, that's good with me too. So I'm good. So this is wonderful.
Let's check our heat right over there.
Okay.
Let's see what we're getting to.
So I think we are heating up nicely.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember, all that wonderful garlic that Michael chopped earlier is going to go into this pan before these greens get in. We've got about 9 minutes on the fish and the tofu. So,
we're ahead of schedule.
We are.
This is so unlike all of our trial runs to be ahead of schedule.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry for the awkward silences. Wasn't how we planned it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, let's see.
It's interesting with different types of salmon, and I think that this one doesn't have a lot of fat in it. But if you get like a Norwegian or a farm-based salmon, it does have seemingly a more of a fat content. Coho salmon that you would get out of Alaska is very red. It's quite beautiful, but really lean, just like this Kita salmon. Hello. That was to make sure that I was still awake. So, you can just, figure on, you know, the type of salmon you're using is to how long you're going to cook it. This is pretty lean, so we're not gonna cook it very long.
Yeah, and it doesn't take too much longer to, well, I guess maybe if you, typically for the farm raised stuff, you're getting those really thick salmon fillets that you see, the ones that are like this.
Yeah.
They take about 20 minutes in a preheated 400-degree oven. This is going to take 15 minutes in a cold oven. So there's pretty drastic difference.
When I have made that, it's 25 minutes in a cold oven.
I'll believe it when I see it.
We're gonna have to try.
Right. Maybe next episode we'll do that.
Rule. That's all I'm
If you don't get bored enough by salmon by the end of this one, we're really going to drive it home.
Yeah, I'm gonna move over here so Michael can attack these greens.
Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of oil, which is the universal starting point. I think there's a mess. Hold on. We're going to take the little thing on there. So we're going to add a little bit more oil, not a ton. Oh, that's too much. That's all right. So we're going to put some oil. We're going to enter the stem. So these stems are going to cook for just a couple of minutes. And we're on medium heat, but we did get the pan nice and preheated, which is why you hear that great sizzle, which is what you do want when you're starting to sort of cook anything. You want to hear that great sizzle. There is a trick that normally I talk about where you get your hands a little bit wet and you toss droplets of water into the pan. And if they go psh, psh, when they hit, then your pan's hot enough to cook. I didn't do that this time. Apologies for that. But we are going to season these chard stems a little bit. It's going to do a couple things. One is just going to give a nice base flavoring to the pot, to the stem. Second thing it's going to do is going to release a little bit of water from those stems. Because the next thing we're going to do is add the garlic in there. And the garlic, if we just put it on a really hot oil and really hot stems, it can burn. So when a little bit of water is released out of the stems, it'll sort of help protect them when it goes in. Just another 30 seconds on those. I think it's going to be good.
Those are beautiful. Look at the beautiful colors of those. That's that rainbow card. We have all of those gorgeous colors.
Indeed. It looks a little short. Like I said, normally I would have used 2 bunches of chard, so you have a lot more of these stems in there, but the spinach that I had on hand was just so incredible looking. I didn't want it to go to waste. So I ended up using that. You have a knife over there. So we are just going to scrape this garlic in there. There we go. That's the good stuff.
Now it starts smelling good.
Now it starts smelling good. This is when everybody sort of wakes up in the house and goes, somebody's cooking in the kitchen.
Somebody's cooking something good.
Cooks are cooking. Now I'm fairly active when I've got garlic and hot oil like this again, because burnt garlic is one of the most unpleasant tastes you could ever have. Properly cooked and sweated garlic, where those oils just released, is wonderful. You can see some of that stuff is starting to get a little brown. So what we're going to do, Mom, if you come over here, dump that bowl of greens in here. Now, when you add these bowl of greens, it's going to cool down the pan because the greens are cool. It's also going to release a ton of moisture.
You want this additional bag?
Not yet.
Okay.
So we're just going to start cooking this down. And what I always like to do is, again, I'm pretty active at the stove when I'm doing this. You don't have to be this active, but I do like, when that hot oil hits these leaves, it will start that cooking down process. So the quicker you can get that hot oil and those hot bits on these leaves on top, the faster it will start to cook down. So we're gonna go. Let's add a little bit more salt to this. A little bit of pepper. Not a lot, because you don't want pepper to be the overriding flavor of this. I did read a fascinating article on Bon Appetit that said, when did salt and pepper ever become a flavor combination? Because salt is a flavor enhancer, where pepper is spice. So if you want something that tastes like more like itself, add salt. If you want something that tastes like pepper, add pepper. So where the two became conflated, probably somewhere in the annals of colonialism, I would imagine, where pepper was a status symbol, so you wanted to add it to literally everything. So this is starting to cook down. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of spinach. I don't think we're going to add it all, but we're going to add a little bit. Again, because the spinach will cook down faster than the chard, so there's not really, so you don't want to add all the spinach at once because, again, you know, you really kind of just want to cook the rawness out of this. You don't want to cook the color out of it. That's really important, I think, particularly when you're dealing with greens, is that you can overcook greens, and then what you get is they actually end up turning brown, which isn't all that attractive for anybody. So you really just want them to sort of cook the rawness out of them and then get that really great bright green color. You're going to get that more from the spinach than you do from the chard. Some of the chard leaves, like this one right here, actually do kind of have a brown hue, but from the spinach you can see that just that deep, deep, deep emerald green, which is kind of what you're going for. Turn the heat up a little bit, help this process around. We've got 2 minutes left. Now we may actually finish on time.
Yeah,
Strangest thing ever.
that would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be?
Yeah.
Everything would be hot at the look at that. 1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute.
So that is starting to cook
I
down.
just looked at the fish and it looks like it's cooking very nicely.
There we go. It's agreeing. So we did lower the time on the fish. We did try 20 minutes, and it was, I think we tried 25 minutes the first time. It was way too long. And
Well, we had initially said 25 minutes, and then we looked at it and said, ooh, yeah, that's not gonna work, and ended up at 20. And then the second time we did 15, but we forgot to set the timer. So, you know, kitchen mishaps, and, you know, and hungry people will be grateful that you put the effort forth to put something on a plate for them to eat.
You know, it may not be good, but at least we tried.
Yeah,
Put on quality programming for you all.
That's right, and we are at it, honey. That's,
Indeed.
That is.
Indeed, Mom.
It's gonna beep, and then we're finished.
Look at that. See, now look at that. It cooked down to almost nothing. So the oven comes off. The fish is going to come out here. Here we go. So let's get a look at what this looks like. Let's move the chart up there. Yeah. And let's actually move the greens over here until this finish cooking. And look at this. I mean, cooked salmon in 15 minutes. Now, cooked salmon turns from a sort of dark pink color to a light pink color. And, you know, just with any other protein, it will not stop cooking when you take it out of the oven. The residual heat in there will finish cooking it. So what you have to do with all proteins, you have to rest for 5 to 10 minutes. We're not going to let it rest that long because we don't need this episode to drag on until tomorrow morning. But we do just want it to sort of rest and cool just a little bit as the greens finish cooking here. And as you can see, one of the reasons that I did include the tofu and the salmon on the same plate is because I knew with that thick marinade and with the very little bit of olive oil that we put on the salmon, the two proteins weren't going to mix at all. So for those of you food conscious viewers out there, I did want you to know that was something that we considered when we were sort of doing it. So we're going to let that rest for a little bit.
And then I'm gonna put this on.
We're going to put that on. So the salmon's done, the tofu's done, the polenta's done, the greens are done, the aioli's done.
We're ready to eat.
We are done.
Oh,
Almost.
yeah.
So before we start plating up here, anybody else from home have any last questions before we put this whole thing together?
When can we come over for dinner?
Huh?
When can we come over for dinner?
Well, we've eaten this 3 times in the last like 2 weeks. So if you want to come over here to Old Town, you can probably take the salmon home with you. I don't need to eat it again.
That's right.
You must not.
That's right.
Must not.
Well, we're gonna do a tofu,
Oh, we are.
and we're gonna do a salmon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to see how we're going to do this. Not a lot of space, but we're going to try to figure
That's
it out.
right. Yeah.
So here we go. So let's start. Let's start with get the tongs. Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's start with the polenta. We want to get an overhead camera shot So you start with a bed of the creamy polenta. And then we're going to come in with a, yeah, here we go. Then we're going to come in with a ladle full of these gorgeous bright greens, garlicky greens. And you will get some of the braising juices from those greens into the polenta too, so it'll have a lot of good flavor.
You've got
Then we're going
one
to do a piece of tofu.
piece of tofu, beautiful tofu. Look at the colors of this. It is just gorgeous. You
Indeed.
got that golden color, all of these gorgeous colors from the rainbow chard, and then the tofu with the dressing that Michael made on top of there. And
Indeed.
then we need to add
Woo.
the 2 sauces. So I'm gonna add the lemon aioli, and Michael will add the dressing that he made. And don't be afraid to put some of this on top of the greens as well.
It really does carry through to the bottom of the dish and sort of lightens up all of those creamy, that creamy fatty polenta and the really garlicky greens and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So there you have it, everybody.
there you have it.
Baked salmon with lemon aioli, baked tofu with a lemony mustardy marinade on a bed of creamy polenta and garlicky greens. We want to thank you all for tuning in with us again. Thanks for checking out. If this is your first episode of the Choice City Cucina, welcome to the show. If it's your second episode of the Choice City Cucina, thank you for coming back. We're going to be back with a third episode of the Choice City Cucina. Come in here, Dad. And this one is going to be done. So we got the whole family here. The whole family here.
And guess which one doesn't cook in this group?
Indeed. Indeed. So the third episode is going to be right before Father's Day. We're going to make it for all the dads out there. We're either going to do, for the carnivores out there, we're going to do a skirt steak, cheese steak with a caramelized red onion and tomato relish. And for the non-carnivore eating dads out there, we're going to do a portobello mushroom cheesesteak with mushroom au jus. So stick around, join us again. I want to thank my mom for joining me. Happy 70th birthday, Mom.
Thank you,
I want
sweetheart.
to thank my dad in advance for joining me in 5 short weeks. I want to thank my wife for sort of working the cameras back behind there.
Yay.
And for all of you wonderful co-op shoppers and believers in local food and the whole local food movement, thank you for supporting the co-op, for supporting local eateries and just vendors and everything else like that. It's so incredibly important. And please continue to shop. So thanks again. We love you, and we'll see you next time on
Thanks,
the Choice
everybody.
City Cucina.
Bye.
Thanks. See you again.
Bye.